Good evening and welcome to the rest of the news. Our special guests, we have two of them. First is Bill Dallas with United in Purpose. Now, Bill is, where are you, Bill?
I'm out here in Silicon Valley in Northern California.
The other special guest we have is Rick Howland.
I don't know how special I am.
Oh, you're special, I'll tell you that.
I'm here quite often, so
And,
thank you, Doc.
We want to talk a little bit about this election coming up in just a few days. And Bill Dallas has made a tremendous video with Dr. Dobson in it about encouraging people to vote.
Because what we see, as you probably know, and George Barna has stated, of the 89 million born-again Christian United States, 39 million of them don't vote in presidential elections, and in a midterm election, one that's coming up here very shortly, it may be as high as 60 million Christians, and certainly at least 50 million won't vote. So, you know, we've worked with partners like Dr. Dobson and David Barton and others to help Christians realize how important it is that they need to vote. And what the last thing they need to do is just sit at home and complain, but they need to carefully get up, go out, and vote.
Right. I've heard people say that if all the Christians voted, that it would change the whole outcome of the election.
If Christians voted, I mean, if all Christians voted, Christians could determine who they wanted in every elected office at the national and state level. They could determine it. And so, you know, when I spend time with Christians, it might be pastors, leaders, individuals, and I hear us complain about the problem the country's in. Well, we could choose godly leaders if we chose to get out and vote. Now, obviously, we've got to spend some time and get educated on who we need to vote for, understand the issues, which does take time. I mean, voting is not simply just pressing a lever. We do need to spend some time researching it. But imagine if we use that time wisely, hour, 2 hours researching candidates on your local ballot, all the free time you would get from not having to be in a grief mode. So we spend so much time worrying, complaining, bickering about the state of the country, and that takes hours upon hours in any given month. But we all do. But if we spend a couple hours just researching who we wanted, cast the right vote, then those elected officials would represent us, and it would take so much worry off of our plates, plus the prosperity that would come with a godly-led nation. But to do that, you need two things. You need good candidates, and then secondly, what you need is you need people that are going to actually vote. So we've got to encourage people to vote. And the great thing about it, and it's a biblical perspective, is God has really given us the tools, so to speak. It says it in 2 Peter. He's given us all the tools we need to live our lives out. Well, that's not just a spiritual perspective. That's also a perspective here in our daily lives. We aren't helpless victims in any situation. We have the power of God. We have the wisdom of God. What we need to do is we need to act. James says, let's just not talk, but let's do. Don't be just hearers of the word, be doers.
Right.
One of the things which we take for granted is the vote, and it's incredibly important the way our republic is set up. We need to get out and vote.
Well, you know, here's Rick. He's running for public office. So you got to say he's doing his share and then some.
I'm attempting something. I'm an African American conservative Republican running in a strongly democratically controlled. It's not a minority. It's probably about 65% minority vote in my district, and the way it has been gerrymandered is to eliminate a couple of at least one district that might end up being a Republican district, but it's gerrymandered to take advantage of that strong Democrat minority population in that area, and kind of drawn in such a way as to create a negative effect for a Republican representative in our state house. Hopefully, I can win this thing, which would be just the opposite of what they think. That my opponent has usually had a safe district. 2 years ago, I don't believe I only saw one street sign. This year, he's putting out several. I've seen he's even gone to the trouble of recording an ad this year. So it's on the internet. So
You got him scared.
well, I'm hoping that that may indicate I'm making a dent. And by the grace of God, with His help, we might be able to draw out some conservative support from the African American community in West Louisville.
Let me ask Bill a question real quick.
Developing a desire to begin to become more active than they've been in the past.
Bill, I remember your DVD that you made, and Dr. Dobson is on there. How did you get Dr. Dobson involved in this whole issue?
Well, I mean, as you know, over the years, Dr. Dobson has been so concerned about our country and concerned of a liberal progressive agenda that is trying to remove God out of every aspect of our society. And in one area that he's passionate about is the unborn child, and it's a passion of his. And he realizes that to change the way our country is, you have to change laws. You have to have elected officials in there that can appoint judges that have a biblical perspective on things. And so Dr. Dobson has always been one that believes the vote is a sacred trust. And so when we asked him to be part of this event to encourage pastors and Christians to be engaged in the civic arena, he jumped at it and said, how can I help you? And we set up a time to interview him.
That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
At an event that we did in Florida. And again, he's been a champion for our organization, helping us, promoting to get out and encourage people to be engaged in their biblical responsibility in their country.
But some people who are watching saying, well, yeah, but Christians really shouldn't get involved in politics. That's not really our place. What would you say to that?
Abraham Lincoln said that this is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's not just for the people who don't have any faith. It's for us too. How ridiculous that Christians should not feel the responsibility in this day and age to be 1/300 millionth part of the government. That's who we are as a nation. It's a government of the people. And I regret the fact that many Christians have opted out to this responsibility. And as a result, that they have given up by default. And we're paying the consequences for that now.
I see that some groups have gotten together and put out a voter guide on the internet called ivoterguide.com, I think. Are you familiar with that?
That's the group that is done by Richard Ford and the Heritage Alliance, if it's that one.
Yes, Heritage Alliance. That's the name of it. Yeah.
It is a tremendous tool. Richard, again, another great man of faith who cares deeply about this country, and that tool is a great tool. I'd highly encourage people to check out that website.
Yeah, I think it's ivoterguide.com, and it's you put in your address, I guess, and it gives you the people that are running in your district.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's mostly on state representatives like Rick.
Mm-hmm.
The other person on your video was David Barton.
Wow.
How did you get David Barton on there?
Well, David is actually on our board of directors, so that was a little bit even easier to do. But again, even if he had not been, on our board at our organization, again, David is, he's a national
Yeah,
Basically,
Yes, he
an
is.
historian.
Yeah,
And when it
that's
came-
right.
When it came to issues like this, he again wants to see Christians engaged
Yeah.
and take the responsibility.
Exactly.
You know, Rick,
Yeah.
Frederick Douglass, his organization is on that video too.
Really?
Yeah.
Of the runaway slave?
No,
So it's a Frederick Douglass Foundation.
No, Frederick Douglass Republicans.com. I'm wearing a shirt. This is the shirt I wear in my campaign. The Frederick Douglass Republican shirt. And it's if you go to FrederickDouglassRepublican.com, you can get a shirt yourself, you know. They're beautiful. It's black and it's got Frederick Douglass in white, and under it says Republican, little bitty wood letters in red. So it doesn't freak anybody out until I get a chance to talk to them.
and then there was a Hispanic man on your video that was really good too.
Dr. Sam Rodriguez.
Yeah.
This National Hispanic Leadership Conference. He is tremendous.
You go around the country mobilizing people to get engaged in the public arena. Why do you do that?
Because I have 3 wonderful children, and every single morning I wake up and I look at the hope in the eyes of my children and I compare it to the despair right now embedded in our culture and society. There's a disconnect. Somehow we have to reconcile hope with a facilitative platform for success, for entrepreneurship, for religious liberty. That's what drives me to tell people across this country, we must become active in the political arena. We must vote biblical worldview. We live in very precarious times. Without a doubt, I am convinced that we're one generation away from seeing the demise of America, the nation that we hold near and dear. This nation founded on a Judeo-Christian value system, committed to personal responsibility, entrepreneurship, limited government. That's shifting and changing. But I do believe there's a firewall of righteousness and justice emerging. That prompts me to say, for such a time as this, we must vote. Christians cannot separate from the public sphere. We have a moral and biblical imperative to vote our biblical worldview in a way that's full of integrity and accountability, but we must do it in this generation, or if not, we will lose the next generation.
We wanted to, get to talk with you for a minute and get your perspective on this election and how important it is for people to get out and find out. Now, we've made a voter guide here that has every state representative in the whole state on here. Not this is just Jefferson County, but there are 5 others which cover all. With this one, cover all 6 congressional districts. And it has all the state representatives, and of course, in Louisville, it has 20 different judges in it.
Well, more than that, isn't it?
Well, 20 judges, and then it's got
There's candidates for each one of those judgeships.
Yeah.
So you're talking somewhere between 50 and 60 judges
Yeah.
that
yeah.
people have to familiarize themselves with.
And the school board is on there, and we'd be glad to send that out to any listener that wants it. Just call 893-2444, and we'll send that out to them.
It's getting kind of late now, so they may have to pick them up.
Yeah, you have to call today. And, well, I tell you, this is so important. It's, some people, I guess, why do you think some people are not getting out and voting, Bill?
I mean, there's 8 different reasons. I won't go into all of them, but I think that the 2 I'd focus on is, number 1, they don't believe their vote will make a difference.
Yeah.
And as you know, in elections, I mean, the presidential election of 2000 came down to 600 votes in Dade County in Florida for congressional districts, or the Senate race in Minnesota.
Yes.
Ranking by 300. A few votes can make a gigantic difference. So it's number 1. And then the second thing, I think the other reason is people will say, I don't know what to do. And that's why things like voter guides or a little research or who to vote for, it goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit of time can pay off with great dividends. This is a sacred honor. It's a sacred duty that we have. And we need to realize that our vote does make a difference. you'll know who to vote for, and then you just need to go out and vote.
These voter guides are really Dr. Simon puts out, and I've seen a few others. They give you at least a starting place. Like Dr. Simon's the forms voting guide right here. It just tells you who they're endorsed by.
Yeah.
And that's the criteria that's used. And if you have any knowledge of the different groups that you see on endorsing the candidates, then you know what they stand for, and you can make your choice accordingly, even if you've never heard of them before. And that's a big help, especially on the judge side, where so many candidates are people that are not really public names. You know,
Right.
yeah. Very often, that's the first thing they've ever done is the first time they run for a judgeship. You know.
Right. You know, there's some candidates that are, not perfect. Very few of them are perfect, except for Rick here.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
But we don't expect them to be perfect. We just want them to be better than the other one. So that's all we really need is someone that's more pro-life or more pro-family or more for the Constitution and all these things.
Right.
That's all we need. We don't need somebody that's perfect. Somebody, if we don't have a perfect candidate, I'm not going to vote. Well,
My goodness, we can never, when Jesus came down and when God asked Isaiah, who will speak for me, and Isaiah said, I will, and he said, but I'm a man of profane lips, and the Lord had to prepare his mouth. So,
Yeah.
I mean, none of us are worthy. I mean, good grief, if we were worthy, he wouldn't have had to come to die for us.
Yeah.
We have to step out if we're going to preserve our nation.
Yeah.
Godly people are going to have to step out and be willing to and make a stand for godliness.
That's right. Otherwise, it gets
Right.
from bad to worse.
Right now, you've got a situation in Houston, Texas, where you have a lesbian mayor who has taken it upon herself that she wants to peruse the messages of the various ministers, what they preach on Sunday.
Well, I tell you, it's really bad.
Mayor of Houston, she wants to.
Have you heard of that, Bill?
I sure have.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, and it's just terrible. And of course, we have all these other issues about national defense is being weakened, and there's legal attacks on Christian people and Christian monuments and Christian Christmas displays, and like you say, they're trying to remove Christianity from the public square.
Yep.
Bill, how are you coming on time?
Well, I need to run to another appointment, so I need to jump off here in just a second.
Okay, well, we want to thank you very much for being here and for making that tremendous video and for working and
In the vineyard of the Lord.
and the United in Purpose, and telling everybody how important it is to get out and vote, no matter whether it rains or not.
Yeah. God bless you, sir.
God bless you, and thanks a lot for being on the program with us. Rick, this voter guide is really important. I don't know how anybody, I was talking to somebody the other day and said, oh, I got a voter guide. I said, where is it? Oh, from the Courier Journal.
Mm.
Now,
But
that's
a
a
lot of
terrible
help.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Courier Journal is not on the side of the Constitution or the family or...
I found out that they were doing some profiles on candidates. And I spoke to one of their reporters actually at interviewing another candidate. He passed my name along to the his upline or whatever appropriate word I should use to let them know that I running for the State House of Representatives.
Right.
Where everybody knows that is involved in politics that there's an opportunity here for the House to be flipped
Absolutely.
from Democrat to Republican.
Right.
So you know that that's an important historical thing that may occur in in this election on November 4th. And they let me know they're not covering the House races.
Ah,
And I'm sitting up here now. You can tell that to somebody else that ain't that just fell off the turnip truck. Okay, but I know the interest that's in both parties about the majority that's at stake in the Kentucky State House of Representatives.
well, you've opened a can of worms.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, but I mean that's exactly what they told me. I have an email.
the thing is, Kentucky is one of the poorest states in the Union. We have some of the poorest schools in the Union. We have, all of these different problems. We have one of the highest unemployment, and we've got all of these problems because the legislature will not consider any of the bills that will make our state better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the right to work law and putting prayer back in the public schools like Florida, Mississippi, and Louisiana have already done.
Yeah.
Charter schools.
Right.
All of these are important pieces of legislation, and they'll never see the light of day unless
we can get some
flip the house,
unless we
as
can
you say.
flip the house, because it's. I will say this though: the Kentucky State House of Representatives is not as bad as the federal is on the federal level, the U.S. Senate.
Yeah.
Harry Reid, I was listening the other day, out of hundreds of bills that have been sent. Now, the media doesn't cover this and doesn't report this. They just say that Republicans are obstructionists. But they have sent hundreds of bills. They have spent hundreds of bills to the to the Senate, to the Senate side, and they've only passed 14 of them.
Well, now
on the other hand, they've sent very few bills to the House, and the House has passed several dozen of them.
Well,
that is not obstructionism on the Republican part.
Well, there's certain things that need to be obstructed,
right?
Like raising taxes, more government regulations. That all we have to do is look at Detroit, Michigan, and we can see what happens when the Democrats get in control of a city.
Yeah.
Okay, you get lots and lots of taxes, lots and lots of government regulation. 2/3 of the children are born out of wedlock, which opens the door for prison and all kinds of problems because a child needs a mother and a father.
Yeah.
And then you got all of this. Finally, if you had a house in Detroit, Michigan, apparently you can't even give it away because nobody wants to pay taxes on it.
Mm-mm.
So, and half the people have left. Detroit used to be one of the most prosperous.
Detroit was the per capita.
Yeah.
Was the richest city in America. And the highest per capita income was in Detroit.
Isn't that terrible? And what happens when the Democrats get in charge of
1950s, early 60s
of a city like that, and now it's a slum? The whole city is a slum.
The whole city's a slum. They've been in control since the mid 50s.
Now that's the way Louisville is headed. Is that right?
Well, if you look at West Louisville, that has already taken root in West Louisville.
And the thing that bothers me, they want to bring in more and more illegal aliens. Well, that's just to make
it makes it harder for those who are here,
to get a job,
who are a lower income.
Yeah.
With only an entry level education, like right out of high school, they're competing with people who are not operating in the market.
Yeah.
And who are operating below the radar, so to speak, who will work for less because they can be paid, and expect to be paid under the table.
Yeah, working for less. Okay, see, so that's why this administration is bringing in more and more illegal aliens to take the jobs of the American people,
right,
and put these illegal aliens in, and to pay less and less and less, so that the people that do want to work, they're going to get paid a very small amount.
There's so many things that go on around it. For every one individual that comes here and is in some way or another is profitable for the culture, you also have to have some other things going on around their activities, like even the act of them coming into the country. In the midst of the people that are coming across the border to go to work, you also have people that are involved in human trafficking, smuggling women in for sex trade, or smuggling women out for sex trade, smuggling drugs in, smuggling guns out. All of this is involved in the entire milieu of this because of the crowd of people that are involved in illegal immigration.
Just look at Canada, where they shot that guy up there.
Who was shooting his way into their, I don't know if parliament is the right word, but their representative body. He was shooting his way
and that's
into
what happened when the Democrats get in control. They turn against the people.
Well, yeah. I can't blame the Democrats for every individual thing anybody does, but when you look at the societal ills, their policies could create a societal degradation that ends up with a lot of stuff like this happening.
Rick, God bless you.
Yeah, and vote for me on November 4th if you live in the 42nd Legislative District. Vote for me. I'll set you free.
All right. God bless you, and tune in again next week for the rest of the news.
A red line for us is we start seeing a whole bunch of chemical weapons moving around.
Red line for us.
First of all, I didn't set a red line.
The world is a dangerous place. Some people see the danger.
What difference at this
Others
point does
do
it
not.
make?
President Obama and his administration are making matters worse with failed policies that only embolden our enemies.
We don't have a strategy yet.
Every American is at risk.
I'm not on the ballot this fall. But make no mistake, these policies are on the ballot. Every single one of them.
He's right, especially national security. Our choice is between candidates who support the president's failed policies and those who do not. This election comes down to 3 issues: immigration, abuse of power, and national security.